and thank you so much for joining us for your Smackdown and soon-to-be AEW Collision post-show. We thank you for joining us. I know there's a lot going on. There's still Collision on. There's football. There's so much happening, but you guys are choosing to hang out with us, and we appreciate that so much. So here's what we're going to do tonight because Collision had some supersized stuff on it going into the pay-per-view. We're going to have SP3 come on here and talk to us about what was going on the Collision side of things. They're still finishing up that main event right now because it's rolling over into Rampage. So we're going to get started with the SmackDown side. We're going to have SP3 jump in. So much to talk about there. Takeshita and Beast Mortos burned the house down, I heard. But we've got a lot to talk about on the SmackDown side. And I am joined, as always, by the delightful Alex Cardoza. Alex, how you doing today?
Well, I'm excited to be here with the one and only Nicole Kidman. I want to thank you for taking over for Kate and for doing the SmackDown post show tonight. Nicole
problem.
Kidman.
I can't do her. I tried.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I enjoyed you as Catwoman and Big Little Lies. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. This is my autumnal hair debut. I got it done earlier today. We're rocking and rolling. We're in the burr months, as Alex always says. So I'm excited. I got my fresh studio. I got my fresh hair. I am ready for the season. So we are going to dive in to SmackDown. But before we do, we ask you our small little laundry list of things to do here. If you could leave a thumbs up on this video, that helps people find us in the algorithms. Very important to us as our algorithms are loaded with content these days, which is a beautiful thing. But between interviews and the daytime shows that we've got going on and all of our post shows, we have a ton of content. So our algorithm is very crowded. When you leave a thumbs up, it helps us out so much. And I thought, because everyone's always touching tips in our chat, everyone's always doing the MXM tip touch. If you watched Collision, leave a comment that's one of these. If you watched SmackDown, leave a "we're the ones." That's what I think we'll do today. That'll be like a fun way to get your comments in. And if you watched both, do like a point and then a point and then a point. So we're going to have some fun here with that. In addition to doing that, we ask you to subscribe right here on this YouTube channel. We're north of 115,000 subscribers. Wow. You guys are amazing. And we, of course, ask you to subscribe to FightfulSelect.com. So much more coming up there. Shayna Baszler re-signing, the great news that broke today on FightfulSelect.com. This Warner deal is definitely getting closer and closer. Andrew Zarian subtweeting about it already for you guys.
But Warner deal? What's that?
Warner Brothers Discovery.
I'm sorry. Between that and the new era, I've been a little lost.
Between the new era and where the best wrestle, there's so much to keep track of, but so much coming up on FightfulSelect.com every pay-per-view weekend, which feels like every weekend at this point. There is so much going on. Sean's always got the latest scoops for you on those. Stay attached to those scoop threads. My home commentary promotion in the chat. Excite Wrestling saying, I just watched Beetlejuice. What's the emoji for that? I don't know. Something creepy. Some spider. Something that would freak me out. But I like Beetlejuice because my sister's name is Lydia. So there you go. But FightfulSelect.com. We also have that Discord if you want to be a part of the Discord. At SummerSlam, Sean was just dropping scoops in the Discord before they could even make the post. He was like, this person's in Gorilla, this person's in Gorilla, this person's in Gorilla. So stay up to date on that Discord. Join the Ask SRS channel if you have any questions. But he does have that Ask SRS show as well, the Q&A behind the paywall. But Alex Pulaski and I will be back there tomorrow doing your pay-per-view paywalled post show. Say that 10 times fast. So once you're done with Sean on the main, he'll be in and out in like an hour. Alex and I talk for like 8 hours and we have so much fun. So come and join us there. But we'll have SP3 on to talk about Collision momentarily. We thank you so much for your support, however you choose to show it to us.
Hell yeah.
Just being here is awesome. Leave it a thumbs up is awesome. Send it in those super chats and humper chats. Well, darn it, we will take that too. Now, this show started with our world champion Cody Rhodes and Solo Sikoa. Man, this was a lot of talking with not a lot of anything happening until Nick Aldis came down and got some stuff squared away. But Cody kind of alludes to the Fox era coming to an end. He talks about Michael Cole being the voice of WWE. And I love that he says, he was like, I've been around this business for a while. I know somebody's going to come interrupt me. And I said, self-aware and knowing tropes, you definitely were in a feud with Kevin Owens because that guy is aware of every trope. But Solo does eventually come down here and he asks Cody if he's ready for a real challenger. And then Cody kind of starts to describe what seems like Solo's trajectory and then gives him all these accolades and says, psych, I was actually talking about Jacob Fatu. And Solo says, I see what you're doing, Cody Rhodes. You're trying to turn my enforcer against me, a position that he once was for Roman. So he's looking out for this stuff. And then the Bloodline numbers game kind of pulls up here. We see DIY and the Street Profits come down to make the save. Because baby faces, I guess. And Aldis steps in and says, enough is enough. He says he's getting tired of the numbers game with the Bloodline, to which I said, where were you a year and a half ago? But he sets up the 8-man. And we also find out we're going to get Solo and Cody for a world title shot in a steel cage for your new USA era, which used to be the old era, which is now the new era again, I guess, with USA. That's where I first started watching Raw. And this was good. I really liked Cody kind of saying, the new era has to get kicked off with a world title match. And then kind of alluding to it being Solo and then giving us a little bit of a swerve. But this was like almost 20 minutes and not a lot got done until Nick Aldis came out. What did you think of our opener as we welcome SP3 on to talk some Collision?
Yeah, so I mean, check it out. It was heartwarming because I remember the whole 2019 thing when they announced it. Well, it was in 2018 when they announced that, SmackDown was coming to Fox. It was really cool. You had Bischoff, you had Paul Heyman. Like, it was a big deal. I remember I was working in the city. I was doing big things back then when I was a young lad. And to kind of like see it come to an end here and seeing the faces that are in the company 5 years later, right? It's kind of crazy. So, with Cody kind of giving his love speech, as I like to say, I thought it started off strong. Again, very different from other SmackDowns where they kind of bookend stuff. Almost sort of kind of bookended with Solo at the end anyway, but when we'll get to that. But solid opening. Everyone was happy. Canada was rocking. So yeah.
There you go. They got their world champion right away, which is always a good thing. But Bad Robot saying, hello, favorite post show. Well, hello. Love the autumnal hair, Kate. Well, thank you so much. Missed you last week. Anything cool happen? Please rank these. Tiff's apron dropkick to Bayley, Theory's stunner, and Sal and Vinci's re-debut. I would actually maybe keep them in the order that you listed them. Any thoughts, Cardoza?
No, I agree. I don't know what the hell happened there with Vinci, but trust the process?
I don't because I saw them do it with Karrion Kross.
Oh my God.
I saw them do it with Karrion Kross, and this gave me, I was twitching. I was like, no, not again. But Giovanni...
Shout out to SP3 and me wearing our Marvel shirts, baby. Let's go.
I love it. I love it. I got to introduce SP3 to y'all in just a second, but just Ricardo saying, at work, love you all. See you tonight. Well, thank you so much. It always means so much when people are like, I'm busy, but I still wanted to send in support. I always appreciate that. And I always appreciate getting to stream with SP3, who always, we used to call him the substitute teacher, but now he's on the main roster. But last minute, I was like, well, we don't have a Collision post show with our regular crew. Maybe we can get a Collision correspondent on the Smackdown show so that we can at least make sure that that's covered for you guys going in tomorrow. This was a Collision that had some stakes and some consequences on it, so I did want to make sure that we covered it on a post show here. But SP3, let's start with your overall thoughts on tonight's Collision. I know it ran right into the Rampage episode, but what did you think overall? And then we'll kind of start to get into the beginning of that episode.
I thought this was a strong episode of Collision. Like I looked at the lineup and I think I told you yesterday after we did the Ring of Honor review, I was like, nah, I actually want to watch Collision. I'm used to watching SmackDown on my Friday night and having to review that, but I really wanted to focus in on Collision because I like the Continental Contenders challenge matches, and I did like them watching the matches for sure, especially with the opener with always my favorite person to impersonate, Mark Briscoe in action. So I had to watch that. Takeshita and Mortos was a fun matchup on paper, and it delivered in the ring, including one of the nastiest botches that I've seen in quite some time.
Oh no!
and the main event was a bunch of fun. So I thought this was a very strong, special episode of Collision. But I am also, I know, Kate, it was only your job to kind of watch both shows because you're in the A position. But I am a professional 2-screen watcher from the Wednesday Night Wars of 2019 through 2021. So I did catch a lot of SmackDown, but I focused.
I want to talk to you guys about our great partner at.
We might have clicked the ad a little soon.
But
wow.
I did have Collision. I mean, SmackDown on like my phone on the small screen to have both perspectives.
Well, I appreciate about you. We are going to go ahead and throw this to the Bet Online ad that I was trying to play because we do have betting odds for you for All Out with our trusted betting partner in Bet Online AG. If you were going to take prop bets, I would say if you were going to do it like for Fightful, it would be like SP3, is he going to do a Mark Briscoe impression? I would say heavily in the favor of that because I am going to ask for it. He's the best Mark Briscoe impression you'll ever hear. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to have Sean tell you all about the benefits of Bet Online AG, and then we're going to go through what the odds look like for this weekend so you guys can know where to get your bets in, what might be a fun upset. But let's throw it back to the ad that I accidentally played with more intentionality, shall we?
I want to talk to you guys about our great partner at BetOnline AG. Yes, the place that lets you bet on pro wrestling. We've gotten our pro wrestling betting odds from them for years, well before we even worked with them. And we're going to tell you a little bit more about them. They got the earliest lines, the fastest payout, the industry best bonuses. They've been trusted for 25 plus years because of their safe and secure environment and their quick payouts. But you can bet on pro wrestling. How cool is that? If you think you know more than anybody, go ahead and look at those odds. It's the same ones you've seen on Fightful for years. You might see one that sticks out to you and you go, wait a second. There's no way that person's going to win. Why are they an underdog? Make yourself some money. BetOnline AG. And hey, it doesn't stop there. Whatever sports you want, they got you covered. Popular games like blackjack and roulette, Supernova, Skyward, all that stuff. BetOnline AG. Please bet responsibly and only bet what you can at BetOnline AG.
That time went as intended, okay? That's what I wanted you guys to hear. I didn't mean to give SP3 the music to play him off like it was some sort of award show, but let's talk about some of these odds for tomorrow. It does feel like almost a little bit more predictable. So I'm hoping that maybe there is an upset in the odds that we're about to give you guys, or maybe we will get some crazy debuts or something fun. But to nobody's surprise, in our World Championship match, Bryan Danielson heavily favored. My goodness. Chris Statlander, a little bit less of a favorite, but at a -500 right now over Willow at a +300. Danny Garcia and MJF is your closest one here. You've got MJF at the -180. That might be a fun one to get a bet in on. I feel like Danny Garcia could come out with it. I still think MJF is going over because I think Danny Garcia is going to win the feud and it's going to run a little bit longer. But Hangman favorited at 350 and Mercedes Moné also heavily favorited. So we will see. I think that could be a fun one to keep your eye on. And I would say MJF and Garcia would be a fun one to keep your eye on because there's a fun possibility there with like Shida becoming the first champion of both belts. I don't know if they would actually do it, but the odds are ever in the favor. If you had a couple of bucks to throw at something, that could be a fun one. And Garcia versus MJF, you're not going to make as much back on it, but it's a fun one. It's a fun one. So head on over there, BetOnline AG, great partners from us. Let them know that you heard about them through us as well. It always goes a long way with our partnerships where you're like, hey, I also bet on football and I found out about you through Fightful. We always, always, always appreciate that. So thank you so much. But SB3, let's talk about your Collision kickoff match here. You had a pretty loaded episode over there, but you started with Mark Briscoe, basically your brother, because that's how good you can do the impression, versus Lance Archer, with Mark Briscoe getting the win here. This one kind of surprised me. I thought Lance Archer might get the W because they seem to be kind of rebooting him a little bit, but what did you think of our opening match?
And
what was the word of the day? That's the other part of this.
Well, apparently, if you listen to Mark Briscoe after he got the win, I think we're out the window where I can say this. He told Okada, "I'm coming for you, bitch. I'm coming for you." that's what he told him at the end of the match.
That's so great.
I guess the word of the day is bitch. So, no, this was such a fun opener to kick off the show. It was very hard hitting and a bloody matchup. I don't even know how Mark Briscoe started bleeding, but he was bleeding buckets over I think it was his left eye early on in the matchup after getting thrown into the barricade. He was just busted open. And I like the fact that with the finish, they put over Lance Archer despite him taking the loss. It took Mark Briscoe hitting the Froggy Bow once, he gets a 2 count, he hits it a second time, he only gets a 1 count, and then he finally has to hit it a 3rd time to pick up the victory in this one. So it really put over Lance Archer that Mark Briscoe had to use his finisher 3 times to get the win. Mind you, the first time he did it, he pulled the Jeff Jarrett. I don't know if y'all noticed, but every time Jeff Jarrett hits his finisher, the stroke, he goes, "Yeah, I got the win." Then he pins him. And that's what Mark Briscoe kind of did, where he celebrated as he hit his finisher. And thus Lance Archer had the opportunity to kick out. So I like the fact that it put over Lance Archer in the end, where we can revisit this matchup. And we still haven't seen if Mark Briscoe can hit the J Driller on someone the size of Lance Archer here. And Mark Briscoe picking up the win made sense. I think we all knew who was going to win these Continental Contenders challenges, but this was the main one that I agree with Kate. It could have gone either way, where they really could have put over Lance Archer and also set up a Ring of Honor World Championship matchup, because like I've been saying, right, Lance Archer should be an ROH World Champion.
Wouldn't be mad about that at all. And SP3 is my co-host on the ROH Post Show. You can check out our episode from yesterday right here on this very YouTube channel. We appreciate over 1,000 of you watching, considering the TNA Post Show wasn't there to help us out. The support, so appreciated by the two of us. But if you like what you see from me and SP3, which rhymes, so you should, you can check out our ROH Post Show. If you're not super honored to Honor Club or anything, loyal to Honor Club, it's a good way to keep up with the product too. We don't really go longer than an hour for most episodes. Yesterday we had a supersized one, so it went a little bit longer, and we didn't have the TNA Post Show on the back. But we try to make them quick for you. We try to keep you posted in a much more concise way than many of my shows, particularly NXT. Just for an example. But Matt Logan saying that Missa Kate is on Rampage. I love that. It's a little bit gimmick infringement. I mean, she is encroaching. I'm sure I had the name first and not her, but a fantastic talent. That's awesome that she's getting a rep there, and very much think that young lady has a very bright future. But DNC Digital saying, "Hey guys, hope all is well. Love the new hair color, Kate." Well, thank you. Gentlemen, tip touch to you both. Vinci took no bumps, got paid. Where do I sign up? Well,
that's great that we got it on the first try.
Yeah,
we were meant to touch the tips.
It was like we were a magnet where I went the wrong way and then I just
I don't know. Yeah,
I do that all the time. The only thing I get right is the tip touch, because I do it so much. Everybody is always like, touch tips on every show that I do. Makes me so happy because I love those guys. But SP3, before you got here, I was saying, like, if you watched Collision, you should leave this in the comments, like on the comment. And if you watch Smackdown, you should leave the one up. So I feel like
that's great.
That's a good poll. That's a good poll.
Same difference.
Right?
You
It's just
had
all
put
it is. It's a little
You
tilt.
just put it up. And I have to say, I wasn't here at the start, but Kate, it was like I was looking at a different person. You look awesome with the
Thank
new
you
hair.
so
With the new
So
hair
you're
color.
saying I used to look ugly? No, just kidding.
No. Stop it.
Wow.
You look awesome. That's what I'm trying to say.
I told her she
SP3
looks like
buries
Nicole
Kate.
Kidman.
No, I'm just kidding.
Put it on the
I told her
headline.
straight up, I'm like, damn, you look like Nicole Kidman. She goes, well, SP3 is gonna come in here and shit on that. So
I was like, he'll balance me out. He'll balance me out so that my ego doesn't.
Billy
get me.
Kidman.
wow, I apologize. I will never be able to unsee that.
Nobody can say anything to me. Okay, I was in the Monet mag this week. I don't know if you guys saw.
You
but
were in the Monet mag.
I'm
Yes,
basically
you
best
were.
friends with Mercedes Monet, so you can't tell me anything this week. But Van Twinblade saying, okay, what is the Bangs Bangs Gang by Collarbone Combat Club a team called? I don't know. That's gonna be a tough one. But we'll get there. We're gonna get there. But let's keep mowing down some of these matches. We'll flip back over into SmackDown World real quick. Bear with me as I've got several sets of notes that are cooking up, but Pretty Deadly is backstage. We're trying to make Cardoza happy. They're his favorite, saying that there are
Oh my
two
God.
upcoming debuts because they've got two new stations going on, which means that there's two more possibilities for Pretty Deadly, the musical, to get noticed. And we have Queen Nia coming out here, and she mentions about how last week everybody was talking about Tiffy cashing in on her. And Tiffany says that's ridiculous, calls Chelsea Green a wannabe. She would never do that. And then we do get a match between Bayley and Tiffany Stratton. And it didn't fully click in, but it warmed up. Like, it got going. I thought the booking was actually pretty interesting. Bayley winning with the rose plant off of a Nia distraction where Tiffany had her rolled up, but Nia distracting the ref backfires. And Tiffany had her. The count just went too long by a couple of seconds. So Bayley getting the win here and kind of building dissension the other way, kind of building up some reasoning for Tiffany to eventually cash in on Nia, which I think is an important part of the story. Bayley's still kind of feeling like an afterthought. Like, it feels like she's playing a hand in furthering a story between Nia and Tiffany, but she doesn't have a whole heck of a lot else to do right now. I would love a Roxanne Perez and Bayley tag team run once she gets called up, which I think will be sooner than later. But what did you think of this backstage? And Cardoza, what did you think of our match?
I thought it was fine. I thought it was good. And by the way, I need to get myself my crop top shirt. I'm just for
Your
our
Pretty
new
Deadly
season,
crop top.
Yeah, for the new season of SmackDown. By the way, I need to get my crop top shirt because I love Pretty Deadly and I need to match them. And I think that we won't get demonetized if I wear one. What do you,
No, I
right,
think it should be okay.
SP3? Right?
You'll be fine.
Yeah.
You'll be
Yeah,
make
we'll
it a
be fine.
Marvel crop top too.
Yes, I'm so doing that. I'm doing that tomorrow. Sorry, Kate.
No, I'm for it. Are you kidding? Because people will tune in and be like, "What? Who is that? Let me see some of that." But some good stuff. And I gotta say, this women's SmackDown division is really picking up in a way that I kind of like how the stories are being built a little bit more than how they are on Raw right now, just from a taste perspective.
Yes.
It feels like there's more players involved in a more efficient way. And I think we're getting equally as much screen time, if not more, compared to Raw, which has a whole extra hour on it, right? So we'll see as it continues. But I like the way that they're weaving Chelsea Green in and out of stuff. She's such a valuable asset to them. They've got all these great up-and-comers in NXT, too. So it's going to get crowded up there. People are going to really need to showcase what they're able to do. And they're going to have to really keep on it. And I think it's been good, but they're going to have to be really efficient with their usage of this women's roster because it's only growing and getting better. So some good stuff there. And we will throw it back over to the Collision World. We have the Learning Tree laying out Tomohiro Ishii. I thought this was a clever way to send Ishii back to New Japan. I guess he recovered okay because him and Tanahashi have a shot at the tag titles against my boys in TMDK. So guess Ishii recovered okay, but they lay him out. We do get Bryan Keith versus Orange Cassidy later in this episode, which I guess we can talk about now, SP3, if you would like to. But we also get Chris Jericho taking Orange's backpack. So saying he can't put the title in it even if he wins it. So talk to us about this through line with Jericho in this contendership match.
So the Jericho backstage with the learning tree basically explained the conglomeration have been this popular faction. They have 4 members, but Tomohiro Ishii is on his way to Japan. So they left him with a parting gift, which was having a chair wrapped around his head and apparently attacking him off camera. Rocky Romero, our favorite, came through to check on his fellow Chaos member because now he's going back. They lost the conglomeration, lost the custody battle to the Chaos because he's going back to Japan.
That's right.
Gotta go live with his mom in Japan. Chaos over there in New Japan Pro Wrestling. So Ishii's going over there. And Orange Cassidy was a little bit more serious in his promo before the matchup and said that he was not only going to beat Bryan Keith and get revenge, that he was going to win the 4-way tomorrow and put the Continental Championship in his handy dandy backpack along with the $7,000 in cash of Chris Jericho's jacket money. So that matchup, it led to Orange coming out. He was like very fiery, very serious in the early going, hitting a bunch of topes. Bryan Keith eventually, got some offense in and looked good in this one, getting the heat before Orange actually didn't win with the Orange Punch because Bryan Keith worked over his hand. So the Orange Punch wasn't as effective as it usually was. So he needed to hit a Tornado DDT and then his original finisher, which was the leaping DDT to pick up the victory in here. So another very good matchup with Bryan Keith looking good. And Bryan Keith's got a new theme song, which is a really dope theme song. It's a bop. It's a bad apple in a good. I was like, oh, let's go. He's finally got something that replaced tipping on fofos. I was like, I was not with the whole Texas theme song that he has. I wasn't feeling that, but the Bad Apple theme song, that was a bop. So Orange Cassidy picking up the win, and then like you said, Jericho post-match was backstage in front of Orange's locker room and said that he stole the trusty backpack. So my question to everyone in the chat, what is a more sentimental value, a 50-cent bracelet or a $5 Jam Sport book bag?
I don't know. No.
That's controversial. We don't do controversy here on Friday nights, SP3. We don't do controversy on Friday nights. We don't talk about bracelets, books, nor do we talk about ratings. How dare we?
Hey, I think both things are kind of silly to make feuds off of, but I just want everybody to keep the same energy. So, but if you don't want to keep the same energy, you let us know. What do you prefer? A Jansport book bag, which was very sentimental to me. I always wanted a Jansport. Yeah, come on. Or a 50-cent bracelet with your family's name on it.
Let me just say something real quick, that I used to take the little bracelet off the Jansport book bag, and you would strip it and take out the inside part of it, because that was, you didn't know which color you were getting. It was a thing back in the 1900s where you would take out the and then you'd had 2 bracelets on your Jansport book. What a time to be alive.
What a time.
I love it.
What a time. Oh, yes, and the chat is right. Our very own Fightful Zone, Grapsity own, Reg is on that theme song for
Look
Bryan
at that.
Keith, which makes all the sense in the world because I never heard of Bryan Keith until Reg told me about him. So it made all the sense.
We're doing big things, man. Look at that. God.
Hell yeah, we are.
Hey, you're getting more compliments. Danny on the chat is loving your hair. Says you look gorge.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Send in super chats. Tell me I'm pretty. No, I'm just kidding. If there's anything, hey, it's worked before. I'm just saying. I'm out here trying to make money, okay?
Go to her onlysuperchats.com and she will make sure.
That's when we're behind the paywall. That's when we're behind the paywall.
My bad. Sorry.
Some good stuff there. Let me know in the chat too at SP3. I'm curious to your thoughts, and you too, Cardoza. I feel like Orange Cassidy's kind of been stuck for a little bit, and I don't feel like a feud with Jericho is a great way to get unstuck at all. I do feel like it's actually a pretty good way to get Jericho out of the mud a little bit, like finally moved on from Hook, but this is not something that I need extending past All Out. I am very nervous that Orange Cassidy, who was main eventing this pay-per-view last year and had an amazing international title run, is just kind of fallen off a little bit, and he's very easy to heat up at any time. I think we even talked about this on the ROH post show a little bit, but seeing this through line, are you kind of like where I'm at, where like, let's wash our hands of this after All Out? I don't need him mixed up with Jericho.
Unfortunately, I think that's where we're heading. I said this earlier on Trivial Heat. They had 3 people out of last year's All Out that seemed like the sky was the limit for them. Orange losing to Jon Moxley in that great main event. Ricky Starks having a star-making performance against Bryan Danielson, and Konosuke Takeshita putting on a classic against Kenny Omega and beating Kenny for the second time in a week. And they literally dropped the ball with all 3 of them. It's amazing. It's honestly, it's astounding and amazing that they were able to not push and elevate any 3 of them, that none of those 3 people are on a higher level except for Takeshita, and he did it outside the company.
Yeah, he had to go to the G1. He had to go to the G1 to do that. That's a really good point. That pay-per-view last year was so thrown together and so good that like it felt like, okay, we're resetting. And then to your point, they didn't really follow up on anything. But Cardoza, there are some people out there that like this learning tree stuff. I ain't one of them. Are you liking this Jericho stuff, or are you tapped out on it like me?
Jericho seems to always try to reinvent himself. I think the problem is that his reinvention of his groups and of his character are coming too close together. So if Jericho were to say, the Inner Circle broke apart, or whatever group was after that broke apart, he left, came back, and the learning tree was something that he created, I think people would have been a little bit more open to it. But because everything is kind of just all stuck together, like he went from like Lionheart to straight up learning tree, like there's just no buffer. And you're getting into these fights, like you got through Hook, which didn't elevate nor bury Hook. It was just in the middle ground there.
He fought for the same title at All In as he did the year before. Like, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yep.
So, and then now with the whole situation with Orange, I look back, and Orange just maybe 2 years ago was so hot. He was doing so well, man. Like even last year there was a couple. So again, unfortunately, I don't think that a feud with Orange is either going to bury Orange or elevate him. I think it's just going to be that. And people are going to obviously love the whole Orange spots and everything, but that's where it ends. It starts where it ends, and it ends where it starts. Like there's just nothing there for it. And I think that hurts a little bit, because that's when, unfortunately, everyone kind of just harps on, why are these matches happening? There's no story, as opposed to having something much more clear for Mr. Orange Cassidy.
Yeah,
you make an
long-winded answer.
Point.
I apologize.
No, you're good.
No, you made an excellent point that Jericho just needs a break. We need a break in between these different characters and different stables. Like I've been saying it for a year. This guy just needs a break. And no, a break is not him being left off All Out like he was last year. That's not a break. No. That's not a break if we still see him on TV every week.
And I would go as far as to say with Jericho, my problem is this guy who's the master of reinvention hasn't really reinvented himself when it comes to stables, because it's a bunch of guys kissing his ass in a different framework. Like that's what the Inner Circle was, though it was much more productive, I would argue. But the Jericho Appreciation Society to the Learning Tree is mostly a bunch of people being like, Jericho's the greatest thing I've ever seen. Like, oh my gosh, we're so lucky to be under his wing. Like, it's not that different. It's just a little bit more sarcastic. So I agree. Get this guy off TV for a little bit so I can appreciate him when he comes back. But Jay Miller saying Pitbull and Purrazzo getting cool vignettes to do jobs. Hopefully better things to come for them both. I think, Pitbull's going back to Japan, assuming you're talking about the Stone one. But Purrazzo, I think after this pay-per-view cycle, they're kind of hinting on getting her back on track for something. So, and I don't know if it's jobbing when she's losing to the person who's fighting for a title. Like, but I get what you're saying, because AEW with the women's division had a habit of getting some women on track and then, oops, they fall away entirely. But the fact that we're getting these vignettes for Deonna, I think is a good sign that we're keeping momentum going with her. Well, we get on Smackdown a really fun, God bless Kevin Owens, man. He gets walked up on by Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, who are trolling him for his loss. And he says, I got some things to say to you guys, all right? First of all, you're idiots. Second of all, you're morons. And you guys, you want to talk about me and Cody, and if there's dissension because I lost, well, why don't you guys face each other? That shouldn't be a problem for you, right? And just like he's doing this all in front of the hockey setup that's there for the Oilers who just lost. And he says, just like Wayne Gretzky says, it's a great night for a triple threat, which I don't think is a Wayne Gretzky quote so much, but a really, really, really fun. Like Kevin Owens, God, just the best. But we do get this triple threat that is, to nobody's surprise, super fun. Kevin Owens is like 1 in 10 in triple threats, but I love the way he just comes in like a wrecking ball in these. He's just like, I'm gonna do sentons everywhere, I'm gonna stun a bunch of people, and he's just in there to beat everybody up. Like, I love KO in these situations. But we have Owens fighting off Theory's finisher that he kind of calls for here, but he gets shoved into Waller and Owens hits the stunner to get the pin. Post-match, you got A-Town Down Under beating down Kevin Owens with that rolling flatliner, because finishers where you have to leave the ring to do them make sense. No, Grayson Waller has so many great moves that could be finishers, but the one where he has to leave the ring makes no sense to me. But everything about this makes sense. It just feels like KO's been feuding with Waller and Theory for like 500 years. I think we're leaning toward a Kevin Owens heel turn, so that development is great. But there's some things that have just been going on so long, and this is one of them. Escobar and LA Knight, they're kind of looping back around to now in a meaningful way, but that was something that just felt like it was getting long in the tooth. So glad that this is hopefully concluding. I'm just ready to see these guys break up, Cardozo. We've been watching these guys have dissension for like 45 years. Let's go. Let's break them up already.
And we've been saying this for a long time. I think we're heading towards the end of the year. We've been talking about this since the beginning of 2024. How badly we've been wanting Waller to kind of like just go on his own. He's the most charismatic out of both. We know this. So why not just put him out there? And he'll probably get on the mic and talk everyone, to the nth degree. I think like he's that good that he could elevate a match with just being on the microphone. And I think Theory wouldn't be able to carry the stick very well. So you just kind of let him be much more of a brawler. Like, oh, you want to, like I wouldn't mind having Theory because of the amount of charisma that Waller has, having Theory be the one to kind of just punch him in the mouth and say like, shut the F up already, bro. Like, I'm tired of this,
Sure.
Because he is the brawler, But great match. I hope that they finally get rid of this KO and Waller and Theory fiasco that we've been having since forever, since the infamous punching both of them in the mouth incident. like, let's move on from it. I'm okay for having long-term feuds, but there's nothing here. They're gonna fight just because they talk shit. I say that right.
Well, and to like further a story that isn't about Kevin Owens it's getting a little tiresome.
Yeah.
It's getting
he's the
a
third
little
wheel
tiresome.
in this whole thing.
He is, and he's the number one wheel in my heart. So I hope he's moving on. Incredible title match with Cody at the pay-per-view. It was my favorite match of the night, and I loved what we got out of Gunther and Randy. That was my favorite Randy match in a very long time. But something about KO, man. That guy's just special. That guy is just special. So Bash in Berlin, I thought was a really, despite those cards being so thin, they did a great job with that show.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's talk about this right now, too, because we'll probably talk about it longer than this match was. I wonder how many called this Vinci debut. I know I did. gave me Karrion Kross heebie-jeebies. This guy gets squashed immediately by Apollo Crews, who is an athletic phenom. I love that guy. I feel like he's been misused so much in WWE, but he has not been built to feel important. And he comes out and immediately squashes Giovanni Vinci. It's giving Karrion Kross and his weird Power Ranger BDSM gear. Like, I don't like it. Apollo Crews, a little more respectable in product than Jeff Hardy kind of was at that time. He was just, Jeff Hardy was eating L after L after L for a while there, if I recall correctly. So I just hope they do something with this. This is a new era, I've been told. So let's make this pay off. I thought Vinci did a good job with his end of the stick, though. He was like very stunned and caught off guard, much like I was at home, but for different reasons. He had this character going in NXT for a very abbreviated amount of time. So I'm guessing it's something that he wants to do, or a direction they want to push him in, is this kind of European jackass kind of way. I think he can play it very well. The thing is, he's one of the best wrestlers in the world that you would never know it on the main roster of WWE. This guy is a sight to be seen, and I mean a sight to be seen. So let the wheels off of this guy. Why are we running this playbook with this talent? I don't get it. But there's a lot to look forward to with Giovanni Vinci if they're actually going to have him in competitive matchups sooner than later. I don't know if anybody knows, like, because Imperium was such like a henchman deal, how good this guy is. And my guess is they split up that faction to let him fly a little bit. Cardoza, what did you think of what we got back to back with what we had just seen here?
Well, we started the SmackDown on Fox era with having Kofi Kingston get destroyed in about 3 seconds by Brock Lesnar. So why not end the SmackDown era on Fox by having Vinci get his ass whooped in 3 seconds by Apollo Crews? First of all, I don't believe in anything that Giovanni Vinci brings on his own. I'm sorry, I don't.
Oh, dude, he's really good.
I'm gonna wait. You got to remember, I'm not an NXT guy. I watch here. I'm in and out of NXT. Like, okay,
that's
cool,
the problem, though. He hasn't been presented on the main roster.
Correct. So when you talk to me about Giovanni Vinci, I remember the guy who kind of was the weight of Imperium. Like,
sure.
He was just there. Because the other two shine. I like. They're best friends. They're gonna shine. But when it comes to Giovanni, I'm like, cool. Like, fancy presentation. You could put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig, right? So
you've been hanging out with Pulowski too much. We gotta get you out of here. We gotta save you before it's too late.
No, and listen,
I'm just kidding.
I know they'll probably have something great for him later down the line. It is WWE, by the way. They just know how to create cool things to happen for people. Good on Apollo Crews. It's been a while since I've seen Apollo Crews kind of be a dominant figure. Oh my God, there's a man in darkness there.
Got my SP3 lighting going on right now.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Hey, we can actually still see your face. You can't see my face.
Fair. Wait. Oh,
the man
I'm
goes
sorry.
to...
That's just me dropping a picture of myself and my close personal friend Chelsea Green, of whom defeated Misha tonight. Oh my God. Me and Chelsea go way back. Just a couple of old friends.
Mm-hmm.
Just, I was just so proud of her beating.
I didn't know Sean was Canadian until today. That's awesome. I can hear the hate.
I'm an honorary Canadian. It's if I had a second home, it would be Toronto for sure.
Nice.
But
did you go to see Beetlejuice and you just were inspired by the production? So you were like, I'm going to hang out in the dark in my office here?
Yeah, and I am not a Beetlejuice. I'm not a Beetlejuice guy, but it was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
I heard it was good. I heard it was.
It was a good time. It really was. But
I saw people giving it 3 stars. I'm scared to go watch it, and it's gonna ruin the first one for me, which I grew up with.
I don't think it would ruin the first one.
Oh, okay, all right, cool.
Not at all. I enjoyed it, but hey, while I'm here, I'll plug FightfulSelect.com. Of course, we're gonna have AEW All Out scoops on Saturday. I can't speak to the WBD AEW deal that everybody's alluding to and all that outside of what I already have. The deal was in AEW's hands. It was a very lengthy deal, and I mean that physically. Hundreds of pages that needed to get done. and have attorneys review and all that. And Kate would know a thing or two about attorneys. But we also reported today, confirmed with WWE, Shayna Baszler re-signed with WWE. Her manager, who is actually Josh Barnett, actually confirmed it to me as well, which is pretty cool. But we got more re-signing news coming up in probably the coming days or next week or so. But FightfulSelect.com. We had the SmackDown plans. We'll have, scoops, thread, producers, all that good stuff. I can't say that I heard about a lot of people being upset about the Vinci thing that's going around. Like I see somebody saying that, but I mean, like I can't personally confirm that. I spoke to one person that thought that it came off really well and said that Giovanni Vinci knows pretty well that this direction is actually a positive one for him overall. But man, lots of stuff going on. I'm actually excited to not have a week of pay-per-view to cover. Not like I'm not excited to cover pay-per-view, but the news surrounding everything sort of monopolizes things that I'm ready to cover just some regular ass stories. I'm ready to find out who talked shit about who in like 2019 or something like that. That's what I want to find out.
I talked a bunch of shit about Sean.
We started to do a thing, which I'm probably going to do more of. And I want to make sure that I credit them appropriately as well. But in addition to the interviews that we've gotten, and we had Shirley do a lot of freelance stuff in the UK as well. We had Down Under the Ring who hit us up and they said, hey, we interviewed Tony Storm. We interviewed Paul White. Would you like to run those on Fightful? And I said, hell yeah, let's do it. Not only that, they want to donate the monetization to a family member of mine who lost her life recently, which is very nice.
Oh, wow.
I want to personally shout out somebody, Jason Boutwell, who is a subscriber. And he probably wouldn't want me to say this, but after I posted that I did that spot with Mojo, basically to raise some funds, he went and donated $1,000. So I just want to say thank you to him for that. And thank you to our friends over at Down Under the Ring Pro Wrestling. But hey, my God, man, we got all kinds of stuff coming to Fightful, Fightful Select. All of our platforms hit 100,000 on Facebook today. And as I said, Kyler has done that with one major hurdle in his way, telling the truth on Facebook, which is not something that is usually done.
Nope.
But
everybody's aunts from your friends from high school have now gone and liked our Facebook page. So thank you so much to them. Hey, I'll actually shout out Jason too. I'll double down on all that kindness because last year I did like a Christmas wish list for Families in Need, and he just bought out several categories. So very charitable guy, very, very cool of him. And Luis, if you want to get that link too, we can throw it in the chat and put it up there. But
well, I mean, regardless, Jason, if you're watching this, and I'll hit you up as well if you have anything to promote, buddy. You got a pretty well a number of reads there.
I'll give you the StreamYard login. Are you kidding?
As we're on the air here, my personal MMA GOAT, Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, just announced his MMA retirement.
Oh my goodness!
It is wildly funny to me that Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, who I do consider the greatest fighter of all time, especially not tainted by any PED allegations, anything like that, was in the UFC and they wouldn't market him. The WWE, Vince McMahon, that crazy old fuck, always wanted a Mighty Mouse character. Like if you always heard about, like he always wanted somebody to play that. They actually tried to recruit Henry Cejudo to be that, who eventually had a UFC feud with Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. So the UFC had an honest-to-God guy named Mighty Mouse, and not only didn't really promote him, they traded his ass away for somebody who got knocked out in 6 seconds. So sending all the best to Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson because, man, just my favorite of all time, responsible for so many great memories. Just one of the greatest to ever do it. If you've never seen his work, his fights, go do it. And he's become a star on YouTube on his own as well. But I'll be back here tomorrow for AEW All Out, you guys.
There you
All
go.
out,
You'll
baby.
have Sean on the main. You'll have Alex Pulowski and I on FightfulSelect.com. Hop in that Discord too. Sean's always dropping scoops in there during
Sure am.
pay-per-views now. But Mighty
Gang,
Mouse,
gang.
of course, the second most badass people in combat sports. MXM taking a loss today to House of Blacked, I believe they're called. If you listen close enough, Mike.
Yeah.
They got blacked. They got blacked out.
They did. They did. I'm so sorry that Sean left. I'll make sure that he sees that, but just found that Andrak video that you told Maven about. Yes. That interview was one of my favorite ones Sean's ever done, and I've seen a lot of Sean's interviews. He did a really great one with him this past week. A couple. We got a lot of interviews out right now, which absolutely rules for us. But let's dive back in. Let's talk some Collision. Let's flip back over here.
Collision.
Absolutely. We get GYV, who isn't as over live as they are in my heart, but they defeat the Iron Savages, who are out there with jacked Jameson, who Serpentico said isn't even that jacked, and I heard doesn't even drink Jameson, but they win with the total elimination, and FTR come out, and they confront GYV and challenge them for a match next week. So that GYV and FTR, OMG, my BFF Jill. That'll be so much fun. I hope that's a continued feud. I think that would be a good use of FTR, and I think it could help get GYV over. I think a fantastic tag team that people are going to love more and more the more they get to see them. How was that match, and what do you think of the post-match there, SP3?
Well, the match was a squash, and apparently GYV is calling their total elimination finisher the Grit Your Teeth. It used to be like a double code breaker, which made more sense to me. It was called the Grit Your Teeth finisher when they were in TNA wrestling, but they're doing it here. That's fine by me, and I like the brawl with FTR afterwards, and I love the fact that Jack Jameson was walking around like, yeah, you show him FTR after the matchup, and then they took the Shatter Machine as a Jack Jameson took the Shatter Machine as a result of that, and I loved FTR's promo where they basically said that GYV is a dollar store version of FTR because one is bald and one has hair, so that made sense to me as well.
Not mad about that. They're British Dollar Tree. They don't have the euro. They still have the pound, right? I can't say pound tree, otherwise MXM will just show up. I feel like if I call them the pound tree, but we got Alex Pulowski joining us.
We got a revolving door of freaking all-stars coming into the show today.
It's my first time on screen with Alex. All my dreams have come true.
Yeah,
I've marked the bucket list.
It's finally happened.
My goodness. Alex watched all of Rampage, so if there was anything that you wanted to add, we're not even halfway through both Collision and Smackdown.
6-hour show, everyone.
MXM versus House of Black is everything. It's everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it not only was it because it's a fashion fight or whatever, Friday Night Fashion Fight. So they put out 3 guys as judges who sat ringside, putting every time Mansoor would do something, they put up all 10s. Anytime Buddy or Brody would do something, they put up like 1s and 2s. And then eventually, one guy put up a 7 for something Buddy did, and so Mansoor had to get outside and like berate him, and then turned around and Brody King did a running crossbody to Mansoor and the 3 judges in the chairs. So that was very funny. Mason had a sell of a knee that is one of the top 5 sells of anything I've ever seen in my entire life.
Really? Okay.
So yeah, no, it's that one is worth the price of admission. The Rampage one. So
awesome. Very good to know. Very good to know. I'm so glad for those guys. They're awesome. Yeah. So that is good to see. Anything else that you want to call out from either show?
Have you guys talked about Jericho holding a backpack hostage?
Yes. And I asked the people, what is more a sentimental value? A $5 JanSport book bag or a 50-cent bracelet? That's the real question in wrestling today.
Here's the deal. This is what OC needs to do because he'd be the perfect guy to do it. He just shows up on Wednesday or next Saturday, and he's carrying around a JanSport backpack. And Lexi Nair or Renee, they stop and go, hey, so did you get that back from Chris Jericho? Oh, this? No, I just went out and bought another JanSport backpack. Because they sell them at most stores, and they're not
He
very
would be
expensive.
perfect for that. He would be perfect.
And then he
for
looks
that.
in the camera and goes, hey, Chris, you can just keep that one. I really don't need it. And that takes the piss out of the entire bracelet thing. And also it makes Jericho look like a friggin' idiot. Because he's like, I will hold this backpack hostage until you get me $7,000. And now OC would be like, no, I just bought another backpack. Because they're readily available at most Goodwills. Like, you know what I mean? Like...
And he also says now he has $6,995,000 in cash.
Yeah, there
Perfect.
We go. That's good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
In for that.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a lot more to get through. We have a super chat about my hair. Well, thank you so much. Alex, do you have thoughts on my hair? Do you want to tell me how great I look?
I mean, it's surprising.
It's Nicole Kidman-esque, is it not?
Fall. It's for fall,
It's
right?
autumnal, yes.
Yeah.
It's my autumnal.
It's like so is it did you say go in and give me the pumpkin spice?
I was like, I'm a white girl. I need everything about me to be pumpkin spice. And they were like, I got this. So
Yes.
Just wait until I get up there in October.
Yes.
We're really going to be white girling together.
It is September. I am white, and they said, "We got you, fam."
I've got
and
don't say no more.
That's it.
They
That's
said
it.
say no more.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got a Jamie Hayter comparison, which means I guess that I inevitably will get a Becky Lynch comparison at one point.
Jeez.
So Tim McFowle saying late here for this group. Wrestling tonight was great and all, but everything pales in comparison to this new Kate. Well, thank you. But in NXT, I'd be a heel. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
I might have to go a little darker, but I would need black lips.
Nicole Kidman asked for a Kate when she sits on the chair to get her hair color. You like that, huh?
So I went into detail about this. I won't repeat the rant about what they've done to poor Fakey and Eichner. It is unconscionable that they made him into the loser on Imperium for a year, and then had him get jumped out of the gang by Ludwig, and then drafted him to another brand, so he couldn't even try to get his lick back on the dude who put him out. He couldn't even attempt it. Then you repackage him as that gimmick that he had in NXT that I thought was a go nowhere gimmick, and it was, because they drafted him he had like 3 matches in NXT, and they drafted him to the main roster and put him back with Imperium so he could be the loser in the group for a year. And now they're saying, okay, we're going to repackage you as the thing. We're going to show vignettes and everything, and it's possible. They're like, well, we actually think you're a singles guy, so we're going to do the vignettes. We like this gimmick for you, and we're gonna put you in. I was like, you know what? This is a terrible gimmick, but is it worth wading through a cesspool if on the other side of the cesspool waiting thing is Fabian Eichner having matches with Santos and Andrade and Carmelo and giving the mid-card on SmackDown this really great new coat of paint? And yes, it would be, but instead they had him get rolled up from behind by Apollo Crews and lose in 3.5 seconds. So I watched this is it. Just let him go. Let him go. That man could do so much. He's one of the top 30 workers in the world. He's one of the top 30 workers in the world. Why do I have to watch him be made into a loser and then have this be made a fool of on his major network TV debut? This is the whole thing. Is that if you think this is a rant, you should have heard the rant that I did about an hour ago, because that was a rant.
Maybe I will just go on FightfulSelect.com for more of that. But DNC Digital saying that a heel with egg on his face, especially one who presents himself as one who wouldn't have egg on his face, can be more entertaining than the opposite. I'll say this. That's how Bryan Danielson's trajectory started off. Well, but I got Karrion Kross heebie-jeebies watching that. That did not make me happy.
If Fabian Eichner's career path mirrors that of Daniel Bryan after he had his comeuppance very early in his career, then mea culpa. I will look back on tonight and say maybe I was wrong, if that indeed does happen. But if not, I reserve the right to look back on tonight and go, Yeah, that was not okay what they did to him.
Yeah, I'm okay with you saying that right now, to be honest. But if you wish that was nowhere to be found, if you wish it was untraceable, like you would like your internet connection, well, buddy, let me tell you about NordVPN. I don't want to tell you. I'll have Sean.
I have long talked with you guys about the content that you can access with NordVPN.com/Fightful, but it doesn't just stop at pro wrestling. You can get MMA and boxing pay-per-views at a much more affordable price when you change your virtual location with just one click using NordVPN.com/Fightful. It doesn't stop there either. Football games. Man, if you want to check out those out-of-market football games, you don't have to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars. You can get NordVPN.com/Fightful and just change your virtual location. How about baseball games? They make it harder than ever to actually watch baseball games. It is a task, not with NordVPN.com/Fightful. They got everything you need, in addition to all the threat protection and security that comes with NordVPN. But if you want that content, NordVPN.com/Fightful is right for you.
You're still muted, Kate.
I love NordVPN.
I got it that time.
I use it. I have it. I got a 4-year contract with them. Well, it's not a contract, but 4-year subscription with them.
Hey,
and I got it all using code word Fightful, my friends.
You get a huge percentage off, and no better time to do it than when you still have these pay-per-views that you got to pay for. Hopefully that'll change with Max, but for now, get NordVPN. It'll pay for itself in like one pay-per-view package. You're going to be a happy camper. Legitimately, I think the greatest savings of any of the code Fightfuls that we have. So, good stuff there. Please support them. They've been wonderful to us for a number of years now, but Pulaski, anything else you wanted to talk about, or should we kick you out of here because I told Sean I'd be done in an hour 15 and I lied?
You can kick
Oh
me
my
out.
God, we got 15 minutes to run through these two shows.
You can kick me out after I have a little thing, because sometimes I can be very impatient, and I don't want to wait a week for FTR versus GYV. I want to see it tomorrow. Why is it not on the pay-per-view? Tony Khan, are you feeling okay? There's only 8 matches on the card tomorrow. Are you feeling okay? You can.
Did he announce anything for 0 Hour on Rampage?
There's a 3-way trios match between Top Flight with Action Andretti, the Undisputed Kingdom, and hold on, nobody in the chat spoil this, and Shane Taylor Promotions. Lee Moriarty and Shane Taylor, and a new person who's joined for one night only, and it's Beast Mortos.
What?
Just because I just love the idea of him just wanting to fight people, and so he just joins with anybody. It's just so.
No, we're done.
We're
good. We're good. I don't want to hear anything else.
Tony's been sticking to his 8-match lineups as of late.
I just hear that Beast Mortos joined For the Culture Shane Taylor Promotions for a night?
Beast Mortos,
He's for the culture. It's Black Taurus, actually.
Have you ever seen
He's going to
Beast
be
Mortos?
Black
He's a
Taurus
good-looking guy, man.
for one night only. He is Black Taurus tomorrow night.
El Toro Negro.
Back to our review. We're just gonna dive back into what we have to talk about.
That blocked me so much.
For the Culture, Shane Taylor Promotions and Beast Mortos. My God.
El Toro.
Whew. Well, we get Santos with these vignettes that, for me, they are working. I feel like these Santos Escobar Legado vignettes, they worked in NXT. They're working on the main rosters. They kind of get him back on a more consistent track, a more winning track, hopefully, with more important matches like we're going to see shortly. But Santos is there with Carrillo and Humberto, who talk about their win over Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews, and they're all psyched about it. And I love when Santos is like, don't be shocked by your own success. Don't be surprised by that. We're expected to win, which I thought was really, really well done. And Elektra Lopez says, this is just the beginning. Everything's kind of falling into place. And I loved Santos saying, like, this is ours for the taking. Like, I kind of loved that we got, like, if a high school coach was an absolute badass, like an absolute Hispanic badass. That's kind of how I felt about this, and it worked for me because it just, these settings showcase how awesome and just like how cool Santos Escobar is, I feel like, really well. Cardozo, what did you think about this?
You know how I feel about Santos. Santos being El Jefe right now, just holding it down on all these vignettes and just the power he's in, like just showing these peons who are trying to celebrate, and he's like, what are we celebrating for, you peons? You win a championship? Because this doesn't look like you win at a championship, okay? Like, come on, man. First of all, you guys know I love me some Santos. Make sure you check him out on Lucha Libre Behind the Mask, wherever you get your podcasts. What a great story he's telling on there, especially with him kind of like adding a little bit and infusing a little bit of his own background with his dad. What a great show. But you know me, I like to. I'm gonna just throw it in there. Sorry, Kate, but
no,
I'm very proud of that show.
You should be.
I'm a celebrity freaking podcast producer, if you guys didn't know. All right.
I am not one to shy away from a shameless plug, so.
but I love everything that he's doing right now. I want him, if he's not going to be winning the U.S. title, I don't want him anywhere near LA Knight anymore.
Yes, agreed.
Because LA Knight right now is like a vacuum. Okay, and what do I mean by that? Anybody who gets near him is unfortunately getting sucked in and being thrown out in the trash, because they're not going to freaking put the title on anybody else for the time being. That's number one. Number two, he's just over as hell. So anyone who tries to have like any type of verbal spout or fight with him, it ends the minute like they hit the ring with him.
Sure.
So like there's nothing to progress there. So I don't want Santos to be involved in this anymore, because I think so much higher of him. You know, and I think with all these little shakeups moving, I do believe that there's going to be a draft coming soon, and it'll be cool if they kind of like just get him away from LA Knight, maybe put him on Raw and go chase Intercontinental Gold or something, you know?
I used to love the draft, and now I never want to see it again. Like,
really?
I am so... Everybody just shows up everywhere anyway. Like, who cares?
No. It is set in stone, Kate.
Why did Randy Orton just face Gunther then? No.
Because he's been in the league for 27 years. So, you know, he's not going to... He's able to move around anywhere he wants, kind of like the John Cena.
Then don't do a draft, because that's not how it works with players and teams. Just have separate rosters so that you can do this without it being weird. As someone who covers NXT, it's way more maddening, because they'll be like, you were drafted to SmackDown, and the next day they'll be like, you're actually doing an NXT run. But Tim McFalla says, hey, ever since Santos started working with Alex, things have been kind of looking up for this guy. Maybe there's something superstitious there. But since you talked about our U.S. title picture, which has another one of your favorite Hispanic talents in it, we have Andrade and this fantastic series of matches that we've had with Carmelo starting to pay off here. LA Knight gets the mic. He had some very funny stuff online, because the Hawk Tua girl now has a show called Talk Tua, and he's all, let me talk to her. Let him on that podcast. But he brings up having 2 successful title defenses and says, from DC to Berlin to Edmonton, no matter where he's going, everybody's gunning for the U.S. title. And Hayes is unimpressed by having 2 title defenses, and he kind of fires back and says, that's as many as Logan Paul had as his entire reign, which I absolutely adored. And then we get what I love, which is Andrade speaking in Spanish. I am not a Spanish speaker, but I knew what he said just because of the way he was delivering it. And I love LA Knight going, I have no idea what you just said, but you better watch your tone. Oh, perfection. I absolutely adore that. Really, really good stuff there. And then Andrade boots down Hayes, only to eat a blunt force trauma from Knight. Mm-hmm. There is some trash talking from Hayes, so he eats a BFT too. Seems like we're headed toward a triple threat, which I think is a good way to have people protected in what has been a very fun rivalry being built out by Andrade and Carmelo so far. I'll leave it up to both of you. Either of you can jump in. SP3, if this is something you want to talk about too, feel free.
Yeah, go ahead, SP. What do you think?
Yeah, I enjoyed the segment. I was able to catch it between commercial breaks. I paused it because I need to see LA Knight. LA Knight's one of my favorite characters on
Yeah.
SmackDown. I absolutely, yep, I love me some LA Knight. I love me some Carmelo Hayes. I'm a big fan of him since his days on the independent scene in New York. So I love seeing him get into position. And this is something that they've kind of been building since he's gotten on SmackDown with him and LA Knight, how they feuded before LA Knight started feuding with Logan Paul. And I love Andrade. Andrade is probably one of the best Hispanic talkers on American television in professional wrestling. He did that in AEW. I still have clips on bumpers on StreamYard of him saying, hey, relax to Darby Allin. So it was great to hear him like have a proper promo here and then mix in the Spanish. And I like the fact that they're using the whole best of 7 and smoothly transitioning it into the U.S. championship scene. I just need them to announce that it's the best of 7. It's my headcanon that it's the best of 7, but I need them to actually say it since we're keeping score and we're keeping it at the 2-2. I like the video package, but I really enjoyed the 3-way promo here. And I think that triple threat, if it's on Bad Blood, that's going to be one of my favorite matches on that show.
Sure. I think in ring that would be a sight to see. I think it protects everyone and keeps this moving forward. I almost like them not announcing that it's a best of 7 because I'm always just waiting around for the inevitable math of he won 3 and he won 3. So, oh my God, we ended up at 7. Like, it never ends before that, which is good because that makes for less exciting wrestling. But whenever you announce it, I immediately get caught in that trap. But some more support from you guys. Thank you so much. Get in those super chats and humper chats. Bad Robot saying, anyway, back to Vinci. This is long-term storytelling that'll lead to a speed championship. It's a new era. See. I actually do think it'll head. I'm more optimistic than my cohort in Sour, Alex. I don't think this is something that's going to be ongoing. I think it's something that's supposed to get him pissed off and kind of fired up. So I don't totally mind it. I don't, it's the last way I'd want to debut somebody, but I do think it doesn't necessarily spell the end for him because I feel like they've gotten better about putting people on television with some sort of intentionality a little bit, if that makes any sense. But guys, leave a thumbs up on this video. We are moving along. We are in higher gear now that Sean didn't so rudely interrupt us and Alex, who I invited on earlier, came on to talk to us. But we've got more to talk about here. I know Brandon Rosen said, I wonder how many people called this Vinci debut. I know I did. That is not
I did as well.
I did not think that was going to be the case.
As soon as I saw the vignettes, I 100% with Alex. As soon as I saw the vignettes that they were going back to this character in NXT that they did not believe in, that they dropped after like 3 or 4 matches, I was like, I don't think this is good for him. I didn't think it was good when he got drafted to SmackDown after the way he got jumped out of the gang of Imperium. But, it was just like 6 months ago. Imperium was in this great rivalry with New Day. They looked like they were on the verge of winning the tag team titles on Raw. Like, how did you just split them up? Like, it has to be that they don't like each other. That's what I want. I want to believe that that's the reason why you separate them, because there should not be any other reason why Imperium is separated the way it is, because I like Ludwig Kaiser, but I think that he could be a tag team champion a lot faster than he's going to be an Intercontinental or U.S. champion.
Yeah, I really, really liked the combo of the two of them. Ludwig Kaiser, I feel like it's come a very long way in ring, but to me, Giovanni Vinci was always like the in-ring guy. I was liking it to like how Nick Jackson, I feel like, is the in-ring guy, and Matt Jackson is amazing at selling and storytelling and facial expressions and that kind of stuff. That's kind of how I felt about that tandem, where Ludwig has the incredible presence about him, and Giovanni Vinci has one too, but like from a work rate perspective, just seemed a little bit further ahead. So, splitting that up, I would hope it would be because they think Giovanni Vinci might have some solo career in him, but to never pay it off in story is very weird.
I did want to say really quickly, breaking news. My man, TK, came out in front of the live crowd in Illinois and mentioned that AEW, quote unquote, is here to stay on TBS and TNT.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
For the long for a long period of time. So
Okay, so the Warner deal is done. Is that the announcement that we're getting?
that's where he left it at. So we'll see what comes out of it. We might hear something tomorrow at our annual AEW All Out.
That would be appropriate. They started in Chicago. I just texted Sean to see if there's any more details.
Sorry, not the other one.
No, all good. If Sean has more, he'll either be back or hopefully he'll text me. I would hope so. But FightfulSelect.com had reported that
it looked to go out there.
It looked to be up to double, if not more, than the original deal. So Tony Khan said on the call that they had for this, on the media call that they had headed into All Out, that a lot of the reports that were out there were true. So I will let you do the math about the rest of that. So Second Lieutenant Colonel Photo, thank you for your service. I have to send more money because I'm so influenced. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, I don't get my hair done for free. That would save me like a lot of money.
I thought you were an influencer and they did that for you, but I was wrong.
No, they do my lashes. They do my lashes for free. But Rafael Garcia saying, who cares about Cody Solo 2 Electric Boogaloo? The Outrunners won a match. Get the cat excited. Put all the belts on them. They even have a lady now. They have the incredibly skilled and very charismatic Erica Lee with them. She's a standout in the Northeast area. I've gotten to see her wrestle many times. She's very talented. Very talented. I really like her. I like her with that group. Other than the fact that they're so young, SB3, is there anything you want to talk about with this match against, I believe it was JD Banks and August Matthews? They won with the
artist formerly
recall.
known as the Bang Bros. Artist formerly known. That was their old tag team name before they got copyright. They got CC.
MXM was like, that doesn't work for me, brother. No, I'm just kidding.
Lovely.
Anything on this match? It looked like it was just basically designed to give them a big win. But I saw a glimpse of this, and they were super over while I was watching this.
Like, I saw some people, like, in the front row, like in the first couple of rows, like, get on their feet when they saw Outrunners on the big screen. And, it was earlier today, I think it was Dave Meltzer reported that they are the top 10 merchandise movers for AEW, actually higher than Swerve Strickland, which I was like, it hit me in the face. I was like, what when did this happen? But apparently you sell some merch, you get the push. I think this was in response to Kate's tweet that got a lot of responses. So they got their push, they got their first win on AEW with the Total Recall. Great finishing name for them. The Total Recall is their finisher name, and they got their first win. I'm happy for the Outrunners. I think they're really talented guys, and we talked about it yesterday on the ROH review. We like to see these talents that start off on ROH under the Tony Khan banner and then get up to AEW and get some love. They got a big win on Collision. They had an interview on Rampage following the main event of Collision that went into Rampage. I wasn't able to catch that, but we're seeing somewhat, it's not a full push yet. It's more of a nudge. It's getting a nudge, but maybe it develops into a push. But this is what we want from the AEW tag team division as well. We want them to kind of build other teams. So we have a full fleshed out AEW tag team division, because that's when it was on top in like 2020, 2021. It wasn't just the top 3 or 4 tag teams. You had teams underneath, like the Jurassic Express, who came up and became a team. Top Flight came in at that time. You still had the Private Parties of the world, but now you can kind of build it out and have the Outrunners there, have MXM Collection, have your FTR, have your GYV, have your Young Bucks, have your Acclaim, and now we have a division back together. But I'm all here for the Outrunners becoming a team on AEW.
Absolutely. I just heard from Sean, no details on that Warner deal yet, just a tease. Seems like the details are to come. We might get that at All Out, or you might read about that like in the Financial Times or something on Monday. That might go that route. But Alex Pulowski and Luis Polito also doing a great job keeping me posted on things, saying Moxley beat the hell out of them and interrupted their interview. Marita put the leotard lady, who's Erica Lee, through a wall. I'm loving that tandem. I hope it blossoms into a full stadium, but A full stable, excuse me.
And a stadium.
And a stadium. I hope it sells stadium seats. But SP3, while we're on the Collision side of things, Pac and Ospreay vignette and a Mercedes, my best friend Mercedes Monet, and Camille interview as well. Anything that you want to talk about in regards to those before we flip back over to Smackdown?
I enjoyed the Pac and Will Ospreay vignette. It was a short rivalry, but they've done a lot of good stuff in the 2 weeks. That Poison Rana on the stage, it's just every time
Nasty.
I see it, it hurts my neck. It hurts my neck seeing it every single time.
Such a clever spot too. What a fun production call. That was awesome.
Yeah, and Mercedes was just more set up for later in the night with Hikaru Shida versus Deonna Purrazzo, where she teased that she has a plan. She has a plan for, Camille not being banned from ringside, and that we would see Camille show Shida the reason why she's banned from ringside later on in the night, and that would be paid off in the post-match to Shida and Deonna.
That sounds like a plan. I'm looking forward to seeing what Mercedes has in store for us. I'm looking forward to that match. I think that's going to be a sneaky steal of the weekend. And I know the match with Britt was not super well received. So I think, like, if people are complaining about things or a work rate thing, Shida really is kind of the ace. Like, she's the ace of that division. So good stuff there. Let's flip back to SmackDown. We're making some headway here, getting those super chats and humper chats. Leave a thumbs up on this video. It helps us so much. You don't even know. But we get more amazing work from Chelsea Green, who we talk about it every week at this point. If there's a definition of maximizing your minutes, it's Chelsea Green's name. She asks Nick Aldis if he's been on uglypocketsquare.com instead of doing his job. And we get an exchange with Mi Chin, who says, hey, remember that time you got your ass beat on NXT? And Chelsea Green is talking about essential oils and wine, and she can't face anybody tonight because she's too stressed out, and there's not enough in the world of essential oils and wine to calm her down. But we get Nick Aldis saying, you know what? I also love a good metaphor in these flowery languages. That one about a horse and getting back on it after a big loss. Let's take a look at that one. And he makes this match between Chelsea Green, who's out there with Piper Niven, official versus Mi Chin. She wins with the unpretty her. And I gotta say, I would love for Mi Chin to get some wins here. It was kind of like one of those situations where I think both of them could have really benefited for a win. But this is the most the Mi Chin presentation has ever clicked, because she's always been a fantastic wrestler. But like this look, this attitude, the feuds that she's in, there's just things that are clicking. I'm always so impressed by her counter wrestling. Like, I feel like that's her biggest strength, is she has these incredibly clever counters to things that get thrown her way. Chelsea Green, just fantastic as usual. But some good stuff. Mi Chin also selling the ribs from taking that Annihilator from Nia Jax last week. So a nice way to kind of protect her in this loss a little bit. But Cardoza, what did you think? I was encouraged to see another women's match here.
Yeah, it was fun to watch the women throw it down. Mi Chin is killing it right now, just maximizing every second that she gets on screen. And I'm pretty sure everyone else is noticing, like, she's doing backstage vignettes, so not vignettes, but segments. So, something that Freddie tells me all the time is like, dude, if they're giving you those seconds, that means they obviously care for you as a character. So anytime that we're seeing her on screen is a very, very good thing. Time in television is money. So it's great to see that we are getting someone like Mi Chin, who is money, kind of on screen for us. First time in a long time, maybe because this is the very last SmackDown on Fox that we have a hometown wrestler win in their hometown. It's very unlike WWE. I was a little bit confused as to why she was winning. It must be a new era, because, like you mentioned, new era. Because it blew my mind that she won that match. And like you mentioned, I would like to see a couple more meaningful big wins under Mi Chin. Real quickly, do you think, for both of you, just yes or no, that there's a long-term plan for her, or if she just boxed the old school WWE thing, which I've heard from wrestlers even till today, I won't mention their names, that get boxed in to a certain place, and that's where you will be at for like almost the rest of your career as a wrestler in WWE.
I think if she keeps showing out, she's bound to get something. Like, I think the NXT run was actually really, really good for her to showcase just how good she is. I think she would be, because of what I said before with her counter wrestling, I think she would be great in a tag team. If there's someone you want to call it from NXT and stick her with, give her a real run. Don't do whatever you did with Candice and Indy, because it ended up being nothing. But they're getting better at talent usage. Michin is someone that I think is opening a lot of people's eyes. So I don't know if she'll get pushed anytime super soon, but I think she's bound to be more than just like a pin eater. What do you think, SP3? Do you think there's room for Michin in this division to like thrive?
I think right now Michin is in a similar spot to what Chad Gable was in late 2022 into early 2023, where they're being featured, but they're losing to kind of bigger stars right now, and they're just waiting for the right story or the right character to kind of transition her in. And I think that she has been kind of showing out and making the most of her opportunities, maximizing her minutes, which is Chelsea Green's like MO. She's one of those people that just maximize her minutes, and I like the fact that she got the victory here. But I do agree with y'all. We need Michin to pick up some wins, to pick up that momentum. But I really kind of see her at that Chad Gable status right now. But all she needs is that feud like Chad Gable got with Gunther that really put him over the top and made him one of the guys that's a stalwart over on the Monday Night Raw mid-card scene. I think that's what Michin needs for the women's division. But it's hard to do that on SmackDown, where they only have room for so many different feuds. Like it always seems like that with SmackDown, but I do like that all these characters are kind of interconnected with everything going on with Bayley, Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton, Chelsea Green, Michin, Jade Cargill, and Bianca Belair. I like that everybody's connected right now. I just want to see more stories being fleshed out with all these characters.
I agree, and I actually think SmackDown is doing a better job of it than Raw on the women's side. I feel like the Street Profits and DIY just being friends with Cody made no sense today. Like, the women's ones are actually very clean with how they're woven. But Will Chisholm saying, will Gunther chop Hitman because Sammy said he's his favorite wrestler? I love that. You want to have the big bad foreign heel in America, have him extend his way up to Canada and give Brett some chops. But I don't know if he's going to be taking a Gunther chop, but I think there will definitely be some major S talking and coming Hitman's way from Gunther. That's probably the guy to do it. We are at main event time on SmackDown, so we're going to throw it back over to Collision and make some headway on this before we talk about their all-star 8-man tag. We've got this Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander sit down, which I made sure to stay watching between when these episodes ended and when we started today, because I really, really wanted to see what they said, and I loved what we got from both of them. This was so logically done. Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander both have said publicly that Will Washington is working with them. And when I see sit downs like this, I'm like, yep, because everything is so rooted in wins and losses and consistent storytelling, some of it preceding Willow's time here in AEW. I loved what we got out of this. And this felt like what the women's division has become at its best, with this being wrestling focused, but having some personal ties into it. Beautifully done story. But yeah, what did you think, SP3? Fill us in a little bit more.
I thought that this was excellent, and it made all the sense in the world, Chris Statlander's explanation, because he kind of gave us like a quick explanation after the heel turn at Double or Nothing, where she was like, you know, she wanted to win that four-way, that Willow won the number one contendership to beat Julia Hart at Dynasty. But then they kind of fleshed it out where she explained that, you know, Willow came into AEW and she was her friend, two Long Island girls working together, and then when she was the TBS championship. What did she do? She gave a shot to Willow because they were friends, gave her that opportunity, but then she loses the TBS championship in a 3-way matchup where she wasn't even pinned. And that was a good shout because I didn't even remember that Julia Hart did pin Sky Blue to become the TBS champion at Full Gear last year. So she lost the title there, and she didn't even get a rematch. And then who was the person that beats Julia Hart for the title? It was Willow, and Willow had the title. She was defending it everywhere, but didn't defend it against her, didn't give her rematch. She didn't care about that. And Willow was smart with her response. Like, is this Chris talking, or is Stokely have something to do with this? Is Stokely putting all these ideas in your head? She's like, no, this is not about Stokely. This is about me and you. I think this was like the best that Chris Statlander has come across. Like, I've been very critical of this rivalry because I think that it hasn't got enough attention and enough focus. So I was glad to kind of see them flesh it all out before their big matchup tomorrow in the Chicago Street Fight. And we all know the AEW Women's Division always shows out with the street fight. So I think if they get enough time, this could be a sleeper match of the night. But this segment was probably one of my favorites of the whole entire night. On the night that had Takeshita and Mortos and that all-star 8-man tag, that was probably my favorite segment of the whole entire show.
There was a moment where Willow said like something to the effect of, man, I keep finding out more and more. Like, I keep getting blindsided by your hatred for me. And I was like, oh God, I felt that. Cause I think a lot of people have been in this situation where you're like, I didn't even know that you had all this resentment towards me. And like, it's been built up, like feeling very, very overwhelmed like that. I just was so like in her shoes with her at that moment when she said that. So really, really appreciated both sides of what those ladies put out there today. Yeah. Alex pointing out that, of course, if Brett's somewhere, it's going to be with Punk. I'm sure there'll be, like, will Brett have a Hitman friendship bracelet? I don't know. We're going to find out. But you brought up Takeshita and Beast Mortos. So let's talk about that right now, because my timeline was loaded up with people saying Beast Mortos is amazing. Get him in Shane Taylor Promotions immediately. No, I'm just kidding.
Black Taurus.
That's it, I guess. But sincerely, like a lot of people were saying, this match was incredible. Definitely go back and watch it. Two of kind of the rising stars in AEW, I feel like, and would love to know what you thought watching it live.
This was hard-hitting, physically intense, and they just beat the ever-loving crap out of each other. They started off the matchup taking forearms. Well, I love that. This is what I call the Shingo Takagi Ishii spots, what they used to do in G1s, where you just go at each other with lariats and you hear them slapping each other's meat. Excuse me. But it's just great stuff. It's just big, meaty men slapping me. It was a banger, as the cool kids say. But the spot that I will remember is the fact that Mortos actually botched his gorilla press off the top rope, which was my favorite move for him. I think it should be his finisher. But he could not lift this big-ass Konosuke Takeshita.
Put him down. Don't do it.
He gets him up and he just slams him down, and Takeshita goes shoulder first. Like, you had Don Callis on commentary leap up from the commentary. He's like, no. He's like you're hurting my meal ticket. What are we doing? Like, Don Callis was great on commentary here, and then I love in the end Takeshita hitting the raging fire for the victory here. So great matchup. These guys really showed out in this matchup. So go out of your way to watch it if you didn't watch Collision. This is one of the matches that you should definitely go out of your way to see.
Excellent stuff. Looking forward to what they're setting up for this pay-per-view tomorrow, and I think we're headed into a very productive fall from the AEW side. I think as we're going into Survivor Series season on the WWE side as well, you're going to see some stories really, really start to pick up, which is not something we've had in WWE in a while. It's been so much of... like, Survivor Series used to be one of the big four, and it didn't feel like it mattered when you had, I don't know, say Austin Theory and a Golden Egg, for example. But I feel like we're headed toward places where Survivor Series is going to at least feel like it has some momentum and some storytelling payoffs happening at it. So let's talk about this ending of SmackDown. We get DIY and the Street Profits saying, I don't like you, but damn it, I respect you. In this interview with Byron Saxton, they basically say that they're not close, but there is respect between them and that they have a common enemy in the bloodline. Angelo Dawkins, definitely the most hesitant in all of this, but they say that, hey, if the Street Profits need to do this to climb the ladder to get a tag title shot, they're willing to do it. And we have our 8-man tag to close the night. A lot of mega tags closing out both shows. The Bloodline with Jacob Fatu, Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, and Tongaloa versus the Street Profits, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins, and DIY, Gargano and Ciampa, with B-Fab, who also very cool in that vignette. Just an incredible presence about her. But we get an Impaler DDT to Ford, which should end it, but Solo Sikoa wants in, and Fatu lets him do so to kind of pick the bones of Montez Ford here with the Samoan spike. And he lands a second one for good measure to get the pin. This episode starting with that Cody promo saying, like, that Jacob Fatu is really the rising star, which is what everybody's been saying online, I thought made the fact that Solo put a punctuation mark on this match all the more important. No real complaints other than that it was predictable. The in-ring was going to be great. Montez Ford is a star. If I had him on my roster, I would simply choose to make $1 million with him. That's going to annoy my cousin because he hates Montez Ford. It definitely doesn't have anything to do with the fact that he has a big crush on Bianca Belair. Montez, like, really, yeah, see, there he is right here. My cousin Michael saying that Montez Ford was a chump and that the Bloodline took him apart. My cousin, the ever heel, my cousin Michael, but perfectly suitable main event. And Jacob Fatu really does continue to just shine very bright in segments like this. I think people are being harsh on Solo. I think he's getting the reactions that he needs to. I don't know if there's anybody that feels as untouchable in WWE right now as Jacob Fatu. That's kind of like on the rise. But decent main event. No complaints about it. Love DIY. Wrestling on my screen. That always makes me happy. But Cardoza, what did you think?
Yeah, same. I thought it was a good way to kind of end the show. It was a great way to kind of like button up the Fox era, you know, of everything and how high the Bloodline was for you know, SmackDown in general. Good on Solo getting that pinned. You know, that's the last thing image that you want. You know, you're trying to build Solo, so that is the image that you deserved, and that's what we got. Other than that, I mean, it was all good. Nothing too crazy to, you know, write home about. It was just a normal tag match, you know, with a lot of craziness coming from the Bloodline, which we now, you know, are accepting. And I think we're kind of like, all right, here we go. We're in the Burr months. You know, we're heading into what's the pay-per-view with the cages? War Games, right? So Survivor Series War Games.
Yeah.
Blood and Guts. Sorry. So we're heading into Survivor Blood and Guts. So I want to see like where they're gonna build this Solo star. You know, like what are we doing? And that's, for me, that's where I'm at. The big question mark is, we said this before, Kate, just to kind of end my rant here, is we were waiting to see, all right, now that Roman is gone, what are we doing? We found out. We got the Bloodline 2.0 with the colorful splatter and everything. Now I'm kind of thinking, where are we going now? Because this seems like it's kind of reaching its end for Solo and whatnot, kind of like for the end of the year, you know, because we know WrestleMania season, once it starts, it's running. So
it does feel like they're very early in teasing Jacob Fatu splitting off from him. Like, that was a very, very early seed to plant. We'll see when they choose to pull the trigger on that, whether people will be turning in the Survivor Series match, whether they'll wait for Royal Rumble stuff, like to have eliminations of each other or whatever.
Agreed.
But we'll see. We'll see for sure. I am getting into the mode again where it just feels like what we saw a little bit for a long time of like, oh, the Bloodline numbers game, but I think they're doing a good job of trying to keep it fresh by having like Nick Aldis call that out and having the numbers game get matched. I'm looking forward to that steel cage match between Cody and Solo
yeah.
Sikoa. I miss when they had like ESPN style commercials announcing network switches. I was talking to a friend about that the other day. They used to have the game of telephone ones, and go look them up on YouTube. They were really, really fun. But
New era, Kate. We don't have that stuff.
We should. I miss those ESPN commercials on ESPN. I want more, but we are gonna close out Collision now as we wrapped up there on StreamYard. Last call for super chats and humper chats. If there's anything you want to say, a quick reminder to leave a thumbs up on this video. So much more coming up in the next 24 hours. I believe the Grapsity boys are back at it tomorrow morning. Phil Lindsay, of course, in Chicago. So he'll be at All Out because everybody in Chicago gets to eat like crazy when it comes to pro wrestling. But those two gentlemen will have Grapsity for you, I believe, in the morning. I know for sure that we have Sean Ross Sapp flying solo on the All Out post show. You'll have Alex Plowski and me behind the paywall tomorrow as well. Wondering if we're going to hear more about this Warder deal since that tease was thrown in today, but looking forward to that pay-per-view. Support Sean when he's solo on those things. Solo streams are always a little trickier, but he always has so much more information that sometimes like flying solo is the way to go because you guys get a lot of questions. So I think it'll be a newsworthy one. Stay tuned for that. But back on AEW, we have an Outcast promo, which I'm assuming means that Harley Cameron did something absolutely hilarious. And we have a Mariah May celebration that's being hosted tomorrow. Before we get into Hikaru Shida versus Deonna, anything on those SP3?
So the main takeaway from Saraya Outcast promo with Harley Cameron was Saraya was trying to teach Harley to call Jamie Hayter a slag, not a slut. Because Harley was not getting that correct. She's like, a slag, oh, and then walked away. And Harley was like, slag, yeah, and then walks away. Nailed it. And Mariah May basically said that her long-awaited AEW Women's World Championship celebration would go down tomorrow at All Out. So I'm thinking we're going to get probably her first proper feud, or maybe the return of Timeless Toni Storm at All Out tomorrow.
I'm hoping that Toni Storm is recovering emotionally and mentally somewhere. I would love to see Mina Shirakawa be the first proper feud for this version of Mariah May because such a natural transition there. But SP3, tell us about Shida and Deonna Purrazzo and also our main event, our 8-man tag. But let's start with the ladies here.
So Hikaru Shida and Deonna Purrazzo was a good match, solid matchup here. I thought it was more of like the technical ability of Deonna Purrazzo versus like the hard-hitting strikes of Hikaru Shida. The best part of the matchup was the closing portion where you had Deonna hitting big forearms, and then Shida caught her nice with the question mark kick where it just kicks her right in the side of the head. Deonna comes back with like a pump kick, but then Shida is able to hit a big knee, a flying knee strike, and then the katana to pick up the victory. And then post-match, Mercedes Moné comes out to the ring. She distracts Hikaru Shida for Camille to come in from behind and attack Shida from behind. She picks her up, holds her up for Mercedes. Mercedes picks up Hikaru Shida's kendo stick. She goes to swing it, but Shida moves and she hits Camille instead. Camille basically did it like she got stung by a fly. That's how she saw the kendo stick shot. She was like, oh. And
I love that. I love that so much.
And then she went after Shida. Shida was able to get her out of the ring and then drop kicked her. And still Camille did not get off her feet. She just like stumbled away. And then Mercedes tried for the backstabber, but Shida held on to the ropes. And then she hit the katana to stand tall. So she stood tall against Camille and Mercedes for the final build to that matchup tomorrow. So good stuff here. I thought it was a strong way to kind of put over Shida ahead of the matchup tomorrow, which I think that Mercedes is going to be working with a chip on her shoulder to redeem herself with the matchup that I honestly didn't think it was that bad as Mercedes, Britt Baker, and AEW seemed to do, because they were acting like it never happened. They retconned it. They don't even talk about it anymore.
The way they just threw Momo Watanabe, that was an incredible match. I was there live for it, but they pushed that New Japan one heavier than they pushed their own stadium show which is wild to me. But let's talk about this 8-man to close us out as well. Let's talk some main event. Pac and the Pac Pool Compact Club, as Alex Pulaski calls them. Bryan Danielson, Claudio, and Wheeler defeating the Elite, Okada, Jack Perry, and the Jacksons, Matthew and Nicholas. Because I'm a classy lady, I call them by their proper passport names. What did we get in this? Happy to see the Jacksons back in action here.
And they actually seem like they care. Not that Okada on the 0 to 10 give a fuck scale, he was at like a 4. He was at like a 4. He treated this like a road 2 tag team matchup where he teased doing his flip dive, and then he got to the ropes and just middle finger to everybody. It's like, I'm not doing no flip. You got me wrestling 3 times in a week. I'm not doing no flip dive. Like, what do you mean? A note that I have in my notes here is that Pac gave Danielson a slight glare during their entrance, because Danielson came out. He gave a pound to the Wheeler, a pound to Claudio. He tapped Pac on the back, and Pac looked at him like, "You're touching the bastard." So yeah, it was like I was like, and you got to remember, the last time Pac took a loss before All Out was against Danielson in the Owen Hart Cup. So maybe that's something to kind of look forward to in the future. But man, this was a lot of fun. This was your regular AEW party match. I thought the Young Bucks looked good in this one. I thought Wheeler and Claudio, they were working well together. Pac. He's just always great. He's always amazing. He was doing dives to the outside. He was having fun. Okada was playing up his character a lot. And it was really about Danielson trying to get his hands on Jack Perry. And they're really kind of building up that Danielson really wants to kick Jack Perry's freaking head in. That's what he really wants to do. They kept teasing it, and then the Elite would pull him out of the ring. The match ended with Bryan Danielson chasing Jack Perry to the back. Jack Perry got a good amount of heat. We got immediately at the opening bell when Jack Perry and Bryan Danielson went at it, we got Crimea River chants because we're in Chicago.
Of course.
You can expect that matchup is going to have a lot of good heat. And then it went into like the first 10 minutes of Rampage. It ended like 12 minutes into Rampage, where they did the little cut into the Rampage set, and the screen changed on the big screen, the Contron, as I like to call it. It changed from Collision to Rampage over there. And in the end, it was the Bastard Combat Club who picked up the win in this one with the swing into the dropkick, with Wheeler Yuta pinning Nicholas Jackson ahead of the AEW World Tag Team title match. So good, fun matchup to close the show. It felt like an 8-man tag that is being known for AEW for those party matches. So thumbs up for me. Like I said, this was a really, really good show for Collision.
Still waiting for them to close the loop on the fact that the last time Pac was with these guys, he walked out on them during Blood and Guts, like left them entirely, and nobody has boo to say about it. But sounds like a very productive go-home show for AEW. We're going to be talking more AEW on Wednesday. Me and Cardozo with Alex Pulowski, who was on earlier. Sean is out again. You're also going to have Alex Cardozo filling in while Sean and I are at Grand Slam. So you're getting a lot of Alex. I think 3 out of 4 of the September shows are going to be with Cardozo. So stay tuned for that AEW Dynamite review, where we will be talking about the fallout from All Out. They give us such a cute little name to go home with. But have a safe and wonderful wrestling weekend. Thank you for sticking with us. I know this was a much longer show than we normally do. But SP3, the African American Dragon, tell us where the good people can find you.
You can find me on the Twitter machine at TrueHillSP3. I will be back on your YouTube screens tomorrow morning, 11:05 a.m. Eastern Time. The True Hill Heat flagship podcast, myself, True Jaw Josh, and the effervescent, the great Miss Chrissy Love, talking about awesome. This week in professional wrestling. So join us for that. And thank you guys for having me on your usual Smackdown review to bring some AEW Collision flavor here. Always love talking the grabs with the pumpkin spice own Kate, who is one of the best in the community. She brings so much positivity to this community. And Alex, I've loved your work from afar, so it was great to finally share this screen with you.
Hell yes.
Thank you so much for joining us, SP3. When I realized we didn't have like our usual Collision post show and I saw how stacked this card was, I was like, let's get a Collision correspondent on our Smackdown post show to tell us all about it. We had Pulowski coming in with some Rampage notes too. We had Sean on, a who's who at Fightful for this show. So thank you so much for sticking with us. Cardoza, you're here with me on Smackdown. You've got AEW Dynamite shows coming up. We're spreading your wings here at Fightful, but there's other places people can check you. You got Christmas shows coming up. You're hanging out with Freddie Prinze. Where can people find you?
Follow me on Alexis Cardoza on IG and Threads. That's where I'll be posting all of the latest projects. And as she mentioned before, I got a show coming up October 9th. That was pretty jolly. We're going to be talking Christmas films and in a non-conventional type of way. We're just not going to run down scenes and run down this and run down that like everyone else. This is just a simple round table conversations about the films that we love and why we love it and what was so cool about it. And kind of just like being a fly on the wall as opposed to being, well, this film made $33 billion and Patrick Stewart was not bald. No, we just want to have a good time.
Love that. You can catch me at Miss Kate Fabe on social media, normally on Wednesdays. I'm at the Mark Order podcast, but I will be here on Wednesday talking all things All Elite. You can also catch me Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays right here on the Fightful main channel, NXT ROH with this fella. So if you liked him, check us out. And SmackDown tonight as well. Fightful Select on Mondays too. And for pay-per-view. So if you don't like me, this is a tough place to hang out. But if you do, hang out with us this weekend. FightfulSelect.com, best $5 in the game. You're going to have those all-out scoops for sure, so never a better time to subscribe. Have a safe and wonderful wrestling weekend. Thank you so much for your support and hanging with us tonight.
Enjoy All Out.
Yes, have a great time. Pay-per-view weekend.